the picture that every newspaper and magazine critic is raving about. Hear what the usually hard-boiled reviewer of Time magazine says. Snow White is as exciting as a Western, as funny as a haywire comedy. It combines the classic idiom of folklore drama with rollicking comic strip humor. It is an authentic masterpiece. More than 250,000 paintings like these were created by Walt Disney and his staff of artists to make the most daring adventure in the history of motion pictures, with new and amazing characters: Snow White, warm, human, the lovable seven dwarfs. But let Walt Disney tell you about them himself.
Dwarfs' names fit their personalities. This pompous-looking individual is Doc, the self-appointed leader of the group. And this little fellow is bashful. He's secretly in love with Snow White. And this funny face is Sneezy. He has hay fever. And old Droopy Eyes is called Sleepy. And Happy here with the beaming smile. And old Sourpuss here is Grumpy, the woman hater. And last but not least is Dopey. He's nice, but sort of silly.
Hello, I'm Roy Disney. The 1930s were heady times at the Walt Disney Studios out on Hyperion Avenue in the Hollywood neighborhood of Silver Lake.
In the world's film capital is the studio that stands as a monument to the great genius of Walt Disney, master of a new form of popular art that has captivated millions of moviegoers. With the antics of his entrancing animated cartoon characters, he has built an enterprise that employs 700 skilled and highly specialized artistic workers.
The characters that Walt and my dad had introduced had become worldwide celebrities. Mickey's pal Pluto, for instance, made his debut in 1930. An irascible duck named Donald quacked his way onto the screen in 1934. Beginning in 1930, Disney books, comic strips, and other merchandise became part of daily life for millions of people around the world. In 1933, the Ingersoll Watch Company sold the very first Mickey Mouse watch. Walt Disney and the hundreds of artists who worked with him had transformed the medium of cartoon animation from a crude curiosity to a vital art form. Part of this evolution came from Walt's insistence on technical innovation. In 1932, for instance, Walt pioneered filmmaking in the new full-color Technicolor process and won his first Academy Award for it. Walt sought a sense of depth and realism in animation that led to the invention of the multiplane camera, which he tested in his successful Silly Symphony animated shorts. In addition to the mechanics of technical innovation, Walt insisted that his artists keep challenging their own talents. In 1932, Walt even formed an after-hours art school at the Disney Studio to train his animators.
In any action drawing, there is a simple key. It is a line of action. Thusly, in this rough drawing of Mickey, that line is the basis of the action and was drawn first.
The result was a new kind of personality animation and a level of acting that elevated the cartoon to equal status with live-action films. A good example is Three Little Pigs, which debuted in 1933 and was a sensation.
Open the door and let me in!
It went on to win the Academy Award and spawned a hit song as well.
Who's afraid of the big bad wolf, big bad wolf, big bad wolf?
This musical success confirmed Walt's instinct that good music was as vital to his storytelling as good art. All of the pioneering work in animation at Disney was leading up to something, and in 1937, the whole world would know what it was.
Hello, everybody. I'm Angela Lansbury. The success of Snow White in 1937 was beyond the wildest dreams of even Walt Disney. It was the first blockbuster of the sound era and an international sensation. Back in Hollywood, this success enabled Walt to build an all-new animation studio in Burbank, which was completed in the spring of 1940. But there were dark clouds gathering over the world, and their shadows were beginning to fall on the Disney studio.
I can move. I can talk.
The releases of the ambitious and expensive Pinocchio and Fantasia in 1940 proved financially disappointing, in large part because the war in Europe had cut off vital markets overseas. In the interest of promoting goodwill closer to home, in August 1941, Walt and a group of his artists were sent by the U.S. government on a goodwill trip to South America. Dumbo was released and was a smash success. But just a few weeks later, the attack on Pearl Harbor brought the United States into World War II. The very next morning, December 8th, 1941, the U.S. Army moved onto the Disney studio lot.
What you gonna call him?
Well, I think I'll call him Bambi.
Bambi. Yep, I guess I'll do all right.
Although work was finished on Bambi, which was released in 1942, the primary business of Disney became the war.
In Hollywood, Walt Disney has turned over almost the entire facilities of his studio for the production of Army and Navy instructional films, some of them involving closely guarded military inventions and techniques.
Let's go with Navy Project 648, Sequence 1. Let her roll.
Military insignia, training films, and morale-boosting propaganda became the business of Disney. It's no surprise that this wasn't a very profitable business. And as the Disney bank accounts dwindled, Walt and his brother Roy began to feel a little panicked. The Disney studio needed a big box office hit. Roy realized that they had a film that could make a return. There was a whole new generation of filmgoers who had never shared the adventures of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's home from work we go. Hi-ho, 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 it's home from work we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is more than a great picture. It's a thrilling experience and happiness. It's color, music, laughter, and romance, all wrapped up in sunshine to make your heart sing. Adorable Snow White, warm, human, waiting for her Prince Charming. The Seven Dwarfs, pompous Doc, the self-appointed leader. Bashful, who is afraid of the girls. Here is Sneezy. This is old, droopy-eyed Sleepy. And Grumpy, who thinks he's a confirmed woman-hater. And there is Happy with his beaming smile. And last but not least, wonderful, silly Dopey. You'll never forget them or stop loving them.
Hello, folks. I'm Fess Parker. The theatrical re-release of Snow White in 1944 had reversed the declining fortunes of the Disney studio and established a tradition of reissues of all the Disney animated features.
Am I glad to be a citizen of the United States of America?
Disney had survived the war years, and Walt continued to move forward in his expansion of the definition of Disney. 1950 saw the release of Treasure Island, Disney's first completely live-action feature.
You've got the word of Long John Silver.
That year also marked Disney's debut in the new medium of television with 1 Hour in Wonderland, the studio's first television special.
Television?
Whoa, steady, old boy. Take it easy.
Television? Ha! I have never been so insulted in all my unborn days.
When Snow White returned to movie screens in 1952, she again proved to be the fairest of them all. Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Lady and the Tramp continued the Disney tradition of animated storytelling. Disney also introduced audiences to the nature film with the True Life Adventure series, an idea so revolutionary that Disney had to set up its own company to distribute the film. The success of his first TV special encouraged Walt to make a big commitment to the new medium. The next few years saw the TV debut of the Mickey Mouse Club.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, you're as welcome as can be. M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E.
And the first airing of an anthology program called Disneyland. This wasn't just a TV program, it was a showcase, specially designed to highlight the great Disney entertainment product and to acquaint the public with an exciting new project that Walt was cooking up.
I felt that there should be something built, some kind of an amusement enterprise built where that the parents and the children could have fun together.
A destination theme park, also called Disneyland, which had its grand opening in the summer of 1955.
Hurry, 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 there's no time to sit and worry. Check the castle, fill the lake, or see for goodness sake.
Make a rocket that's exciting, a boat trip that's inviting.
The time is ticking fast, and we've got to finish fast, but we'll be there when they open Disneyland.
One of the great hits spawned by the Disneyland TV show was the tale of a stalwart fella named Davy Crockett.
Born on a mountaintop in Tennessee, greenest state in the land of the free. Raised in the woods so he knew every tree. Killed him a bar when he was only 3. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
His television adventures caused a national sensation.
Out of the night, when the full moon is bright, comes a horseman known as Zorro.
A few years later, the debut of Zorro caused a similar, if somewhat smaller, commotion. Walt hadn't turned his back on the movies, though. 1954 saw the debut of the spectacular 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Walt's first and only science fiction feature film. As the decade wound down, production was underway on another ambitious animated feature, Sleeping Beauty, as well as The Shaggy Dog.
Shake on it?
Certainly I'll shake on it, Wilby.
The first in a series of a new kind of comedy that would become a staple of the studio for the next 2 decades. As Walt ended the decade with a slate of new projects in media both familiar and innovative, a special old friend came back for another visit.
It's so charmingly different from anything the screen has ever known. Walt Disney's Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Aglow with the warmth of characters all the world knows and loves. Beautiful Snow White.
You'll just have time to wash.
Wash?
Fearless Doc.
Our house! The lit light! The light lit!
Blushing Bashful.
Oh, gosh.
Explosive Sneezy. Carefree Happy.
Happy, ma'am. That's me.
Grumbling Grumpy.
Women.
Ever snoozing Sleepy.
Hard to get.
Lovable Dopey. And there's Prince Charming. The Heartless Queen. And the Wicked Witch.
Have a night.
Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is filled with the sounds of happiness and the songs all the world loves to sing.
I'm wishing for the one I love.
Hi-ho, it's home from work we go.
Just whistle while you work, and cheerfully together we can tidy up the place.
Get your hands full of water. You snort and you snuff and go.
With a smile and a song, and your heart is young.
Hello, I'm Robbie Benson. The Disney studio started out the 60s with a box office bang. According to the show business newspaper Variety, Disney had 3 of the 5 top-grossing films of 1961, The Absent-Minded Professor, Swiss Family Robinson, and The Parent Trap. Walt continued his commitment to new technology by taking the lead in presenting his weekly TV series in the new medium of color television, changing the title to Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color.
This whole program is being seen in color. Huh, and that's a lie. You know that's a lie, because only the people with color TV sets is seeing it in color.
What plans for the future do you have at Disneyland?
Well, there's a little plaque out there that says, as long as there is imagination left in the world, Disneyland will never be complete.
In 1964, Walt produced 4 hit exhibits for the New York World's Fair, shows that enabled him to expand the technology of attractions at Disneyland, which was about to celebrate its 10th anniversary. In late 1964, the studio released what many considered Walt Disney's crowning achievement in movie making. The film was a huge critical and commercial success. It became the #1 box office hit of 1965, and it was nominated for 13 Academy Awards. It won 5 Oscars, including Best Actress for Julie Andrews.
Oh, it is lovely. I know you Americans are famous for your hospitality, but this is really ridiculous.
And Best Song for Chim Chim Cheree.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. When you're with a sweep, you're in glad company.
Now, although only a few people knew it, at the same time, Walt was looking at large tracts of property in Florida for a secret project he was planning. He even made this film in 1966 to explain the Florida Project.
We know what we hope to accomplish. And believe me, it's the most exciting and challenging assignment we've ever tackled at Walt Disney Productions.
The animation department was still hard at work too, putting the finishing touches on the Jungle Book.
How interesting.
And over on the sound stages, production was in progress on another splashy big screen musical, The Happiest Millionaire. Then, in December of 1966, a tragedy. Walt Disney died. The world mourned his passing. The following year, Snow White returned for a fourth triumphant re-release. And although Walt Disney himself was gone, a whole new generation was introduced to the magic of Disney.
Hi-ho, 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 it's home from work we go.
Once again, for your entire family, the lyrical, light-hearted entertainment of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
Lips red as the rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow.
Snow White.
Someday my prince will come. Someday we'll meet again. And away to his castle we'll go.
Featuring those beguiling Disney characters loved by everyone. And of course, this is Grumpy.
Mush.
Here's Doc.
Why, yeah.
And Bashful.
Oh.
Sleepy.
Hard to get.
And this must be Sneezy. Happy?
That's me, and this is Dopey. He don't talk none.
You mean he can't?
He don't know. He never tried.
Then, too, there's the terrible witch.
Have a bite?
Here's a happy treat of fun and musical fantasy that lasts forever. Enjoy this delightful experience in happiness. See Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dean Jones. Just like the 60s, here at Disney, the 1970s started off with a huge hit. The live-action comedy The Love Bug had roared into theaters and across the finish line to become the nation's #1 movie.
Nice going, Herbie.
In the summer of 1970, the studio established the Walt Disney Archives to collect and preserve the historical materials relating to Walt Disney and the company he founded. Down at Disneyland, the 100 millionth guest walked through the gate. And in Florida, Walt Disney World opened with a huge celebration. The Florida project was seen through to its completion and dedicated by Walt's brother and business partner, Roy, who passed away just a few months afterward. 1973 saw the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney Productions. In movie theaters, Disney was the king of comedy, with several hit films featuring college student Dexter Riley, and favorites like The Apple Dumpling Gang.
How much money you figure that dude's got in front of him? About 500. 500? Wow. You know, that'd be, that's 200 apiece.
Escape to Witch Mountain.
You two got powers beyond belief.
We're not doing this. This is something too powerful for us to do.
And Candle Shoe.
Get up out of bed in the morning with your dukes up, you know? Got him up, the first punch is yours. I see.
There were the big screen musical fantasies, Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
It's lovely bobbing along on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea.
And Pete's Dragon.
Elliot, my dragon.
And the animation department delivered the Aristocats.
Everybody wants to be a cat.
Robin Hood.
I owe my life to you, my darling.
I couldn't have lived without you, Robin.
And the Rescuers. And in the middle of all this, 1975 saw the return of an old girl who continued to prove that no matter her age, she was still the fairest in the land.
Hi everyone, I'm Jody Benson. The 1980s will long be remembered as an era of optimistic growth and aggressive investment. And the Disney studio was certainly in rhythm with the times. The decade began with booming business in the Disney parks. Disneyland celebrated its 25th anniversary in 1980. At Walt Disney World in 1982, an ambitious new kind of discovery park, Epcot, opened its gates. And in April of 1983, Disney's first international park, Tokyo Disneyland, opened. Back in Burbank, 1981 saw the establishment of Walt Disney Home Video. The Disney Channel began broadcasting in 1983, and the same year saw another triumphant return of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
What's your name?
It's hard to say in English.
Well, just say in your language.
All right. My name is...
1984 saw the release of Splash, the first movie under the studio's new Touchstone banner, and Donald Duck celebrated his 50th birthday. In the fall of 1984, Michael Eisner and Frank Wells were named chairman and president of Walt Disney Productions. This dynamic duo brought with them a fresh perspective on the Disney legacy and an aggressive plan for stimulating Disney's growth.
Whoa, whoa. What is now going on in the studio?
Guess who?
Donald Duck.
Nope.
Goofy. Then you're Roger Rabbit.
Oh, sure. Come on, get real.
Okay, I give up.
Fooled ya!
Vigorous production at the studios led to hit after hit, both on television and in feature films. Walt's nephew, Roy Edward Disney, assumed the role of vice chairman of the board.
Smile, everyone.
And kept an eagle eye on revitalizing the famous animation department, which also led to a string of sensational hits.
What I want from you is your voice.
My voice?
You've got it, sweet cakes. No more talking, singing, zip.
Other areas of the company were growing too. In order to better reflect the company's increasing diversity, in 1986 the name Walt Disney Productions was changed to the Walt Disney Company. Part of the growth and diversity was reflected in the opening of the first Disney store in Glendale, California. Within the following decade, there would be more than 600 stores worldwide. Michael and Frank also spearheaded an unprecedented expansion of Walt Disney World Resort. The 1980s saw the opening of Disney MGM Studios, Pleasure Island, and dozens of hotel and resort amenities throughout the Florida property. And in the midst of this amazing expansion and unprecedented growth, the studio even found time to celebrate the golden anniversary of one of its most important stars.
Coming this summer to theaters everywhere.
Hey, look!
The motion picture event of the year.
What is it? Why, it's a girl.
The 50th anniversary of Walt Disney's timeless classic, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Come celebrate with the fairest of them all, the merriest of them all, and the scariest of them all. It's the golden anniversary of Snow White, Sleepy, Doc, Bashful, Happy, Grumpy, Dopey, and Sneezy.
We gotta save her!
Whether it's your first time or your 50th, now is the time to experience the magic of the most beloved animated motion picture of all time.
A true story.
A love story.
Where we will live happily ever after.
Walt Disney's classic, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Opening July 17th in 42 countries worldwide.
Hello, I'm Ming Na. The 1990s continued the expansion of the definition of what was Disney around the Disney studios. Some things would succeed, others would fail, but all would be attempts to keep Disney vital, important, and moving ahead. New Year's Day of 1990 saw the beginning of Hollywood Records, and the following year saw the first book from Disney's new publishing group, affectionately named Hyperion. In May 1991, the Walt Disney Company joined the Dow Jones Industrial Average. In April 1992, Disney's second international theme park opened, Disneyland Paris. Disney Studios films continue to diversify with the acquisition of Miramax Film Corporation in June of 1993. And speaking of diversity in entertainment, October 8, 1993, saw the inaugural game of Disney's NHL hockey franchise, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. In movie theaters, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs returned for its 9th theatrical release. Only this time, Snow White sparkled as never before in a full digital restoration. The 1990s brought continued success in animation, The Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. And in June 1994, the blockbuster release of The Lion King. In April of 1994, Disney's very first Broadway show, Beauty and the Beast, opened at the famed Palace Theater and went on to receive 9 Tony Award nominations. And for the first time, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was released on home video and, not surprisingly, became one of the all-time bestsellers. The 1990s were only half through, and the studio that Snow White built continued to grow and prosper. On February 9, 1996, the ABC television network and all its broadcasting and publishing entities became part of the magic of Disney. Disney made a commitment to the revitalization of New York's famous Times Square, officially opening the New Amsterdam Theater in April 1997. A few months later, the stage production of The Lion King opened there, taking Broadway by storm. The show went on to win the Tony Award for Best Musical. Disney's commitment to sports continued with the 1997 opening of Disney's Wide World of Sports Baseball Stadium at Walt Disney World Resort, and the 1999 purchase of the Anaheim Angels baseball team. In the summer of 1998, the Disney Magic cruise ship departed on its maiden voyage. In August of the following year, she was joined by the sister ship, the Disney Wonder. In 1998, the 4th theme park on Walt Disney World property opened to great acclaim, Disney's Animal Kingdom. The succession of animated features that had begun with Snow White continued with the releases of Pocahontas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Mulan, and Tarzan. And although that connection was nearly 6 decades ago, the 1995 smash release of Disney and Pixar's Toy Story caused one critic to remark, "It creates the kind of enchantment that must have surrounded Snow White." That smash success was followed by another Disney-Pixar collaboration, A Bug's Life, as well as the blockbuster sequel, Toy Story 2. The decade closed with the amazing world premiere concert tour of Fantasia 2000, a continuation of the 1940 classic Fantasia, a film that, like the Disney studio itself, never would have existed without that first success of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
The greatest animated motion picture of all time is back in theaters.
How do you do?
How do you do what?
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
The Queen! Snow White! Apple pie! We gotta save her!
This summer, come celebrate the wonder, the romance, and the magic of Walt Disney's all-time classic.
We will live happily ever after.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, still the fairest of them all.